and welcome to Retech. And today we're going to kind of cover something slightly different, and it's not something I kind of touch on normally, but it kind of got under my skin, and I'll explain a little bit in a moment. Okay, we all know Windows 11's been out for a little while, and it's something that a lot of us have upgraded to. There's a lot of us are delaying it until support for Windows 10 kind of fizzles out eventually in around about 2 years or 2 years-ish time. But a lot of us are kind of hesitant in case there's something better around the corner before Windows 10 does disappear from the support route. But what got me thinking is I've got a Vostro which I've had for about 8 years, and it's been a mainstay machine and it's been fantastic. And I've got a number of other PCs kind of maybe around that same era and so on, which have always been massively reliable. One I just use as literally a recording machine for MIDI and music and all that kind of thing, and audio, and that is not even on the internet, it's not even connected, it's just a machine. So it really doesn't matter if that was Windows 3.1, it's never going to do anything else. But machines like my Dell, which I say is about 8 years old, have a really good life left. It's been upgraded, it's had an SSD put inside of it instead of the mechanical hard drive, it's got a very decent graphics card in it, it does everything that I want it to do, and I don't really need anything else out of a machine. It's fast enough, it renders things quick enough on video, and basically there's nothing wrong with it. That machine would do its serviceable life for many years to come as it is, because it's set up to do what I want it to do. So even if I got a new machine, it would be set up exactly the same way to do exactly what this machine is doing. It's duplicating what this machine's doing, so there doesn't really seem a lot of point to it. But anyway, I was kind of forced to, well, not forced is kind of the wrong word. I decided I needed to upgrade because this machine is online, this machine gets used every day, and I thought, well, let's keep some of the security and some of the patches relevant, because there's a lot on this machine. So I decided to buy a new system, get it set up the way I want it, with virtually the same software and everything. There's no difference. If you kind of just put the screen and the keyboard in front of you, you wouldn't really notice any real difference. But that got me thinking, because there's got to be millions of machines out there that are useful, being used, are perfectly okay for their owners, they don't have any issues with them, they don't really want to upgrade, there's no need for it. But because of Windows 11 and its secure boot requirements, etc., all of these machines are going to be consigned to the bin. So roughly anything before the launch of Windows 11, so let's take anything before 2021, okay, so you're going to go back as far as 2014 and they're not gonna work. 2015, not gonna work. 2016 possibly, and so on. So you're gonna have maybe a decade's worth of machines which is completely serviceable, completely useful. They're gonna have to be upgraded by their owners. And for what reason? If their owners are happy with what they've got, what's the reason? If the machines still do a service and still do the job as intended, what's the problem? But the problem is Microsoft's telling you that you have to upgrade. It's forcing you to upgrade. It's making you consign, in the UK alone, 12 million PCs a year into the e-waste, the landfill. So let's say we're going back a decade. That's a lot of machines. 120 million machines are going into landfill that really didn't need to go into landfill, because if people check their emails and use them for just general writing and spreadsheeting and so on, those machines aren't going to do anything any different to a modern machine, one that's current now, and it's a complete waste. So I thought I'd see if there's a way around it, and that's what this video is all about. I did find a way around it. I have got Windows 11 running on my Dell. I'm not advocating it, but it isn't the options there. So let's take a look and see how it worked out. Okay, so you can see here I've got a Dell Vostro 460 and it's an i7 second generation PC, second generation processor. Now the Vostro comes with a processor that has built-in overclocking. It basically goes from 3.4 gigahertz to 3.8 gigahertz as and when required. So basically if it has something that's taking a lot of clock cycles up, it will boost its own performance or overclock slightly. So it's not massively a slouch, it's not a slow machine by any means or any stretch of the imagination. It wasn't a slow machine at the time. This machine was launched in 2014. This is an i7 version. The previous i5 version was a couple of years earlier. So considering this machine is just kind of on its 8 years kind of life cycle or 8-year birthday, you'd think that, you know, it would be up to the task of running, let's say, Windows 10. But no, this Dell Vostro came out roughly 6 months before Windows 10, and it was never supported by Dell themselves. They basically cut their support off at Windows 7 for this machine, but this machine's been running Windows 10 virtually from day one without any problems, even though the thinking behind it is that Windows 10 would have had problems with the GPU on board this machine, but that was never the case, and it's been rock stable all the way through, and it's been kind of the mainstay of my PCs for quite a long time. Now, as you can see in the background, there's an Oculus Rift hanging up, and this is the biggest reason that this machine is being used, and it's also the biggest reason that this machine was originally intended for. And you know, as people know, the original Rift was quite a power hungry setup. It needed lots of USB 3 support. It also needed quite a beefy graphics card, and this is no different. It's fitted with an NVIDIA GTX 1060 that has been installed in the machine virtually from day one. Memory wise, this machine's got 10 gig of memory on board, and you know, it's been more than enough for what I've needed to use this machine for. It's done everything from playing games to running the Oculus to doing video editing, and also as a host for my video cameras. So it's been quite a stalwart really when you think about what it's had to do over its lifespan. But again, it's not old, it's 8 years old, and until recently it was paired up with a 32-inch monitor, which was the monitor I've been doing basically video editing on as well. So you know, it's done very, very well, and I haven't really seen the need to purchase anything else because it basically was fast enough. It did everything I wanted quick enough. And until recently, I was quite happy with this machine the way it is. But I've got other machines such as laptops and a couple of other spare PCs, but this was the machine I used virtually on a daily basis. Okay, but this is my current setup. It's basically the same 32-inch monitor that I was using on the Dell, but it's linked to a brand new machine, and it's a machine that has certain upgrades in comparison to the Dell, but the biggest one is that it was native Windows 11. Now the Windows 11 system on here is something that we're all going to have to kind of get used to, whether we like it or not. And that's because it's the route that Microsoft's now forced everyone down. You see, back with the 460 Vostro, you'll see something that it's not supposed to be able to run. And that's Windows 11 running quite happily sitting on this machine. So as you can see, we've got Windows 11 running on here quite happily with the Windows 10 background you would get on a normal Windows 10 machine. So as you can see, it's been an upgrade to Windows 10. Now, it's not meant to run on this machine because Microsoft has put in certain restrictions on the BIOS of machines, so they will actually be compliant with their security side, and that is secure boot, which should be available in most fairly recent machines BIOSes, but not all. Now, this is one of them. This is an 8-year-old machine which doesn't have secure boot on board, so there are ways around it, and if you do a quick search you will find different ways of installing Windows 11 on a machine that isn't secure boot. I can't advocate any of them, but what I'm going to do is show you that using an upgrade path for Windows 11, once you've got past the requirements for secure booting, this is what you're greeted with. And you might vary from machine to machine or experience to experience, but the version I used is on GitHub and it's freely available on other places. So what it does is it does the upgrade without actually checking for secure boot, so it bypasses that and then just carries on the install as normal. And once you've installed Windows 11 by bypassing secure boot and the checking for it, basically you're greeted with this, providing everything else on your system's kind of good enough to cope with it. And well, this is a second generation i7 and it appears to be perfectly fine. I've had no problems with it. I've been using it for a while. I've run everything from Zoom to video editing to playing DVDs on it to running the Oculus to just everything, browsing the net and playing Fortnite, and it hasn't caused any issues with anything, and it's run perfectly. I mean, the lot of the graphical kind of heavy lifting's been done by the graphics card I've installed in there, but you could do that to your own machine. And these graphics cards now are a few years old, so they can be kind of bought relatively inexpensively now. And as you can see, it's running one of Epic's games' finest. And this again was with all the kind of resolution turned on and all of the views as far as possible with all the texture mapping. Everything's just normal. I haven't reduced anything to play this game. So we can really push it by launching maybe Filmora, and let's see what's on the Oculus. Yep, so we can get that running as well. So basically, I don't think there's any issues whatsoever, and I think, personally speaking, I think a lot of it's a bit of a scam to try and force you to upgrade when there is no need to upgrade at all. And I think Microsoft should really be ashamed of what it's doing. So it's forcing people with models that are maybe less than 10 years old to upgrade. Now, 10 years worth of PCs in the UK alone is 120 million machines that are essentially going to be consigned to the dustbin, to e-waste, and for no other reason than Microsoft decided to arbitrarily condemn all these machines to that fate, because obviously we've only got 2 years-ish of Windows 10 support left, which means that after that software is not going to be written for Windows 10, updates, patches, security, all of that kind of thing. So what's going to happen is all these machines are going to end up in recycle bins, or basically in your local landfill for no real reason, when most of them could happily run Windows 11 to do most of the jobs that most of these PCs were or will be doing. Just general documents, checking email, all of that kind of thing, watching the odd movie and so on. So there is no need for this, and I think it's one of the biggest scandals really to hit this kind of part of the computing sector, especially when most of the people who watch this channel are recycling and reusing and repurposing their old machines anyway and enjoying them. If the same was true for some of the vintage machines, then the likes of your Commodore 64s, Amigas and STs, well, wouldn't be usable today. They'd just be something to sit on the shelf. But because they were more standalone in their operating systems, they've kind of survived the test of time, and they're still usable and can still do exactly what they did when these machines were current and out of the box. All of this net-based operating systems and so on are going to hit a wall shortly. They're going to be their own downfall, because there'll be nothing legacy left. There'll have been a lot of machines thrown in the bin, a lot of stuff recycled for no other reason than the fact that some corporation arbitrarily decided that these machines were no longer effective to their cause. And you need to upgrade to bring in more money to these companies and to then support their software, which obviously there's ways of making money along the way. Okay, so you can see that I've got the old Dell running fine with Windows 11. In fact, that old Dell apparently wouldn't run with Windows 10. And I bought that just as Windows 10 was coming into the mainstream, was being launched within a few months of actually purchasing that machine. So this machine has been 100% stable with Windows 10. There was no reason for it not to be 100% stable with Windows 11. There's not a massive amount of difference in the two operating systems. The look and feel is more like an Apple Mac, or basically Ubuntu as well on Windows 11. A little bit more than Windows 10, and Windows 10 was kind of getting there. Now, I really can't see the point in Microsoft assigning all of these machines, just not even just in the UK, 120 million or so in the UK. How many is that going to be in the USA, in France, Germany, Italy? I'm guessing if we kind of base it on the same figures per state in the United States, I don't think would be far off. So 120 million units per state over the period of a decade. Same in Germany, 120 million per Germany, in France and Italy and so on. That's a lot of machines going in landfill that didn't need to go in landfill. I don't think, I mean, you can say that we could upgrade the boards and the processors within the case of these machines, fine, but most people don't now. The enthusiasts build the machines up and repair them, replace parts on them, upgrade them, but most people buy one from PC World or, you know, somewhere similar, even Walmart and places like that, and they'll just use the machine. In the UK we have big box stores like PC World, or Dixon's as it's now gone back to, and you know, around the world there'll be very similar outlets where people just buy them, plug them in and use them. And finding out that only after a few years you have to bin them is not viable, it's not sustainable, it's not ecologically friendly either. So yeah, so this is a bit of a departure, so I hope you kind of understand why, and we'll be back to normal programming very shortly. So thanks for watching. If you feel the same way, then just start petitioning people, petition Microsoft to change it. It's an easy fix. Let the people who have these machines decide whether they want to put Windows 11 as an upgrade to Windows 10. You know, let the individuals decide, not a corporation like Microsoft just arbitrarily saying your machine should go in the bin or in garbage or recycling or landfill and so on. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe, and I'll see you soon in its normal programs will resume very shortly. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye bye.